everyone, it's Laurie from Cook Scrap Craft, and today it is Mix It Up Monday. This is a monthly hop that is sponsored by Peace Craft Love and I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking, and basically there's a sketch that's given in the Facebook group, and we are challenged to take that sketch and also add some mixed media to it. So you can do, whatever your favorite mixed media is, inks, sprays, gesso, stencils, thread, stitching, what have you. And so this is my take on it. And if you go down into the description box, you'll find out more about Mix It Up Monday and how you can play along for next month, as well as see all of the hop participants for this month. So definitely check out everybody and see how they have interpreted the sketch. So I really like the sketch, as you can see up in the corner there. I think it's an inspired blueprint sketch, which is, I guess, a defunct scrapbook sketch blog, but I remember using it many years ago. It was when it was active, and there were a lot of really great sketches there. So this one's really nice because it's got 3 photos. Seems very simple, so very easy to interpret it in however way you want. I did choose to keep the 3 photos. And these are photos that were originally printed out in 4x6, and then I just cut them down to 4x4. The sketch actually tells you the size of the photos, so I cut them down to 4x4, and they're just like funny selfies that my daughter took. She had my camera, or my phone, I guess, in the bathroom, and she was taking selfies of herself. So what I am doing now to sort of enhance those photos, I have grabbed some stamps. Stamping is not something that I do very often on scrapbook layouts. So I've grabbed some stamps. I don't know who makes them. Well, the ones I'm using right now, I don't remember who makes them because I don't have the packaging anymore. But they're sort of like, flowery. There were 2 word sentiments, hello and thanks. So it must have been sort of like a thank you card type of stamp set. So I'm using a couple that look like those, what are those things that you blow and you make a wish? Tell me in the comments. I can't think of what it's called right now. So I'm using one of those, and then the word hello, because, it's like you're saying hello to her in the photos. And then I've got another stamp that's of a little girl. And I've used this one before on a scrapbook layout. I don't, like I said, I don't use stamps that often. But it was from the little girls from Polka Dot Whimsy. And it's just something that I've had in my stash for a long time. I think somebody gave it to me. And then I'm adding a few more of the little flower stamps to go along with that. So it's almost like each photo is going to have its own kind of stamped cluster going, like kind of peeking out from behind it. So I actually, I'm just marking where I want the photos to be with a pencil so I can go back and erase that line. And then that's going to help me figure out where the placement of the stamp should be. And I also had placed the stamps down first so I could get an idea of shape and direction and how they were going to look peeking out from behind the photos. So I'm not doing too much stamping just yet, but I will end up going back and adding in just a little bit more. And obviously I'm also adding in the word hello to each cluster just to kind of, I guess, tie them all together, right? And then, of course, here we go for adding in some of the pattern paper. So there really isn't a whole lot going on in the sketch. So I've got my 3 photos. My stamping is down. I'm going to have that pattern paper strip, which mimics what you see in the original sketch. But what I like to do, I can't really keep a layout this simple. So what I like to do is I like to, especially when I've got sort of 3 separate sections going on with the 3 photos, what I want to do is layer up some pattern paper pieces behind those photos. And so, of course, I've already got my stamps down, so I need to make sure that I'm layering up the paper so that it doesn't cover up too much of the stamping. This is my process. Do I do things in any sort of proper order? No, not really. I just kind of do them as I think about them. So obviously there probably could have been a better way to do this, but that's not the way I chose to do it. So I actually have a bunch of leftover bits and pieces from my September Best of Both Worlds kit. So I'm just taking some of the pattern paper bits, some of the things that what's that pattern? The blue paper that I'm inking right now. That's actually the backside of a cut apart, and I actually ended up finding 2 more, so I'm going to be able to use that same pattern to layer up behind all 3 photos, which I like because it's cohesiveness. And then I'm just kind of adding some other pieces to this section. I'm just taking it one section at a time. When I get things down in a way that I like them for this photo, I'm going to go ahead and stick them down, and then I'm going to move on to the second photo, and then I'll move on to the third photo. I'm using double-sided adhesive squares, the Recollections brand that I got from Michaels. I ran out of my double-sided Scotch tape, and the last time I went to Target, I forgot to buy more. So I was at Michaels picking up scrapbook albums that I had ordered because it was buy one, get one free. I don't know how often they do a deal like this, but oh my goodness, you guys, if you notice it, you have to take advantage of that. So while I was getting the albums, I also got some more adhesive. All right, so now on the layout, I'm adding in a few more extra embellishments for this top photo. These are pieces that were, well, I guess they were from the Best of Both Worlds kit. The Give Thanks was from the Best of Both Worlds kit. I don't know where, I guess the little paper strip, it's got like bees on it with the navy sides. I think that was a cut apart from one of the pattern papers. I don't know sometimes. I just was like, you know what, let's use them. So I'm going to layer up that pattern paper kind of behind the photo like it's peeking out. And then the word sentiment is give thanks. Could I have saved it for like a Thanksgiving layout? Yeah, but do I want to just leave it around my scrap stash? Not really. So I'm going to use it on this. And if it doesn't make sense to you, well, then that's just too bad. It makes sense to me because like I'm giving thanks for finding these funny pictures on my phone, right? Okay, so now I'm going to do the second photo, and I've got that same pattern paper from the first photo coming in behind it. I'm also adding in a strip of polka dot, yellow polka dot. You can see it's white with the yellow polka dots. I'm going to flip it and use the other side, which is yellow with white polka dots, because I think it shows up a little bit better. And then I've got another embellishment that was from Illustrated Faith that I purchased as part of my September Best of Both Worlds kit. It says Bloom and Grow. I thought it was perfect for photos of my kid because obviously I do want her to bloom and grow. Now the Give Thanks one at the top, I put some foam dots behind it to pop it up. I thought about doing the same thing with this Bloom and Grow. It's a pretty big piece, but I was like, you know what? I already have some dimension over there. I'm going to keep this one flat. Yeah, and I'm happy with the way that worked out because I really just like the way that everything is kind of layering up and looking. So then I'm going to go on to the third photo, but before I do, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on other scrapbook process videos, haul videos, layout shares, and whatever the heck I feel like posting on here. There's always a scrapbook process video on Tuesdays, and then I also participate in different challenges and hops like this one throughout the month. So there's always something going on. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks so much for coming on back. Leave me a comment down below to let me know you're here. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. And I hope that this video is inspiring to you. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions about the things that you're seeing me do, the products I'm using. If you have any questions about the Mix It Up Monday Hop, you want to know more about that, I'm happy to answer those questions for you down in the comments below. All right, so we are moving on to the third photo, and it's kind of overlapping a little bit with the paper that I layered up under the second photo, and that's just because of, the placement. I was trying to keep the photo placement the same as what was in the original sketch. But, I'm not worried about it too much. So I was still able to get some patterned paper layered up behind this third photo. And I'm doing it kind of sort of closer to the right-hand side of the photo, which is kind of similar to the placement of the second photo. I like to try to have things be on different sides if I'm going to do stuff like this. But because I'd already put the stamps down, like I said, probably not a good idea in order-wise. But because I'd already put the stamps down, I was a little bit limited on direction and placement of the pattern papers going on behind the photos. But it turned out fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting you know if you do something like this, I don't know, maybe figure out where the photos and everything else is going to go and then do your mixed media. But you can also just, you do you, right? However you want to scrapbook is the best way, okay? However it turns out is the right way, There's no wrong way to scrapbook, really. So I think I've inked the edges of all of the pattern papers that are going on behind the photos. I just used my Hampton ink black ink pad, which is also what I used to do the stamping, I should say. I didn't use a color, I just used black. Pretty simple, because it's a nice neutral, and I was like, it'll go with anything that I use, right? Okay, so then I added a sticker, which is a Paige Evans sticker. It says the best, and it's got like a wreath around it, and I thought that was pretty good for adding a nice little sentiment, because it seems like each photo has its own word sentiment, and I liked the best because, they're just silly photos. She's the best, and yeah. I did decide that I wanted to add a few more stamps just to kind of build things out a little bit more. Something that you could do, and I have done before, is I've used stamps to make my own pattern paper background. Like I've literally gone across up and down an entire 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock doing stamps. It's a little tedious, but you could do that. Obviously, I'm not making my own pattern paper background. I'm just trying to find places where I can add in a few more stamps, just again to kind of like build out the embellishment clusters just a little bit. Something that I'm noticing as I am looking at the finished product here, this is Vicki Boutin white cardstock. Foundations paper cardstock. So it's really good for mixed media. However, one of the corners got peeled up a little bit. So that's kind of disappointing. And I have never experienced that before from this cardstock because it's usually really sturdy. So I don't know what happened. But here I am finishing up the page with some misting sprays. I've got Nouveau in Antique Mica Mist. I've got some Shimmer Spritz and Plum Pudding. Or no, I think I did Lindy's Stamp Gang. I did Lindy's Stamp Gang in a color that's called, it's Flat Fabio Spray and Hibiscus Rose. And then Tim Holtz Distress Oxide in Squeeze Lemonade because it's like my favorite bright yellow. It just looks so cool. So I got a little bit on one of the photos, but it easily, just take your finger really quickly right away and like kind of just peel it off. All right. Not that big of a deal. I do cover my photos, but sometimes stuff gets under. So no big deal. These are the close-ups. So I hope that you can see a little bit more detail about what's going on in this layout. And I hope that you also participate in next month's Mix It Up Monday Challenge. And if you do decide to use this month's Mix It Up Monday Challenge as inspiration, share it on social media using hashtag #MIUM and tagging @PeaceCraftLove. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.